What we're presenting now in this video are two Tanaka made 150mm petty knives. You can call them fruit knives, you can call them huge ass paring knives, you can call them really mini cooking knives, but really they're called petty knives. The difference between these two knives resides primarily in the steel used for the core. The bottom knife here is carbon steel, aogami 2, blue 2 steel. The knife up here has VG-10 stainless steel core. The difference obviously is that the VG-10 stainless steel will not corrode, very difficult to rust, very easy to take care of, but will hold a fine edge better than almost anything you'll find from the Western German makers. The bottom one is carbon steel. Carbon steel in theory can hold a much finer edge than any stainless steel because of the carbide structure and other elements of the metallurgical properties that, unfortunately, I'm not very qualified to get into in detail because I don't understand it all. However, I do know that these two knives feel very different. But before we get into that, let's look first at the defining differences that immediately tell you which knife is which. Look at the width of the maki, here and here. On almost every single Tanaka, whether you're talking about the petty knives, gyutos, or any of his other products, you'll find that the stainless steel versions have a much thicker, wider maki, about the same as the diameter of the ferrule itself. Whereas if you look at the carbon steel blades, they're always nice and fine, much skinnier as it were. The two knives, as you probably noticed, have a Damascus pattern cladding. I personally don't care either way for it. Yes, it looks nice, but it has no functional value whatsoever. What I do appreciate, however, is a very light, balanced feel for both of these blades. And if you look at it, you can see that they're very thin profile. They go right to the food effortlessly. Look at the way it tapers. It's a very fine point. This primarily, for me, is a fruit knife. I prepare fruit dishes with it. I make it, well, small work. Work that you could use a santoku for, work that, yeah, if you really wanted to, you could use a gyoto for. But I tend not to, just because this is so nimble, it's so nice and light and thin. I know when I learned in culinary class that the instructor told us that you'll be using the chef's knife and the paring knife for 95% of your work. Well, you know what? Yeah. I guess that could be true if I stuck to only one type of cuisine, but I don't always, and I do make a lot of fruit dishes for myself. And I find that in those cases, the paring knife is a little bit small. Yeah, it's good for actually peeling in your hand, but it's just time to actually make very thin slices, delicate work, or even just going through a whole pile of fruit. A petty knife is a fantastic little tool. Between the two of these knives, the stainless steel VG-10 and the carbon steel aogami 2, I find that the carbon steel version has a nicer edge. That is true. I've hand sharpened each of these, and the aogami 2 blade really is a nicer slicer, and you can feel the difference when you're going through things like tomatoes. Unfortunately, or just as a byproduct of all carbon steels, you're going to have to take better care of it, but that's okay. There is one other thing I want to point out, and the slight differences in the tip profile. You'll notice that the carbon steel blade at the bottom has a much more rounded tip, whereas the VG-10 stainless steel one has a little bit of a pointier tip. You actually don't notice it at all when you're using it. They're both fine enough, nimble enough at the tip that you can do detailed work with them, no problems. There's no functional difference. It's just a look. And there you have it. Tanaka paring knife, 150 mils, stainless steel version, and carbon steel. If you're not going to be able to take super care of it, go for the VG-10 stainless steel. But if you're able to dry things off nicely every single time, give the blade the attention it deserves, then go with the carbon steel. I highly recommend them.